go ahead and talk about the Nintendo Switch and how gamers are absolutely enthralled with getting a Pro Switch from day one, and we still haven't got it. So let's talk about that in this video. About 4 years ago, the Nintendo Switch launched and everybody was enthralled with it and everyone loved it. However, it's turned every time I would see an article, someone would say, oh, the Switch needs this, the Switch needs that. And all of that was based on how the previous game consoles were. You've got the old Xbox and their line of Xbox 360, and then the Xbox One and the Series X now, and the PlayStation 1 through PlayStation 5 now. And at this point, no one had really stepped out of the box. You basically got a console that was pretty self-explanatory. You would put in the game, it would play, and you would have a controller. Now, Nintendo did some different things when it came to the Wii and the Wii U, and it kind of built up to become what the Switch is and why we love it so much. And so, at the beginning, everyone was saying like, oh, the Switch needs better graphics, the Switch needs this, it needs that, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, when you break it down, Nintendo has always done one thing and really focused on this, and that is making sure their games are fun and innovative at the same time. So they haven't just made the same exact console every year with maybe making the graphics a little bit better or maybe the processor. They've actually made the gaming system a lot different and much more enjoyable, and really is stand out against the crowd of the PlayStation and the Xbox consoles, at least in my opinion. So when I see people say they need a Switch Pro, it kind of goes against what the Switch is and kind of how Nintendo thinks about things. Then Nintendo put out the Switch Lite about 2 years ago, and honestly, this has become my go-to Switch. I love it so much, and I think it is just an amazing system. But everyone still is harping about getting this Switch Pro. And we've had the Switch for 4 years, like I said, and I feel like this is something that we may or may not get from Nintendo. Whether or not we do or not is kind of out of the question for this video. But it goes back to my sense of thinking about this. Nintendo is not directly focused on having a better processor or maybe better graphics, but they want you to enjoy the game. They want you to pick up the game, take it on the go, and have some fun. But if you have a Nintendo Switch, you can also dock it at home, but you can't do that on the Switch Lite, obviously, and play those games on your TV. And so this is one thing that really bugs me about this. Now, if Nintendo was going to actually make a Switch Pro, what would we exactly want from that? Would we want it to just be a sit it at home, leave it at home, and that's it? Or would people actually want it to be like the Switch is currently, be able to dock it, pick it up, and take it on the go? Here's where I kind of I think we've got to make a decision here. The Switch Lite already exists, and that is a handheld system as it is. And then we've got the Switch, which does both. It goes on the go, and you can play it at home. Now, does this Pro model need to be significantly just used for at home in order to get those better graphics and get that better feel of games and processing power and all that? Maybe that's something that is needed. But honestly, I don't know if that's what Nintendo wants to do. And that's why I feel like everyone shouting, "We need a Pro!" from day one is just kind of useless. And when I say useless, I don't mean that their ideas are terrible or anything like that. I just don't feel like that's the way Nintendo wants to go with things. Now, yes, Nintendo still has the opportunity to release a Nintendo Switch Pro, but honestly, in their ecosystem, do we really need it? Does Nintendo creating a Nintendo Switch Pro actually benefit them? Is it something that we really need, or should we really hope that Nintendo is focusing on the next iteration? They've had this system out for 4 years, which probably means they're already kind of focusing their shifting their focus towards what new console will be out maybe in the next 3 to 4 years for them. And so do we really want Nintendo taking time out of their busy schedule already to make a Pro system when we really want more games? We want games, and eventually we'll want a Switch, a next second generation of Switch, whatever the next console from Nintendo is. So everyone is always saying, and I see the articles and I hate it, saying, oh, we need a Switch Pro. I mean, I feel like the Switch as it is really innovative, and this is something that Xbox and PlayStation would never do. So I think this gets under my skin because of that right there. This is something that Nintendo has stepped out of the box and created something amazing that is actually selling really well, and people are already still like, oh no, they need to make something better because, well, Xbox made the Xbox One X and the Series X and the Series S, and then PlayStation did the PS4 Pro, and so Nintendo needs to do that. I don't think that is the way that we should be thinking. Nintendo is their own company, like I said, they do things differently, and so I would like to see Nintendo do something differently than just create a Pro model of whatever they're creating. Now, I love the limited editions that they do, but I don't think that we should be expecting Nintendo to make a Pro Switch. Honestly, I want to see better games like Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, which everyone always is also begging for. We'll get it, or something, a new Zelda game. Maybe not Breath of the Wild 2, but we will get that new Zelda game in the future, so stop worrying about that and let Nintendo focus on what they do and what they do well. We don't want Nintendo wasting their time trying to compete with Xbox or PlayStation. I want them to do something innovative and awesome like they did with the Switch. And I know the Wii U didn't do well when it sold. However, the Wii U was something that we needed. It took us from the Wii to the Switch, and I absolutely loved it. So everyone needs to just get off Nintendo's back about it, getting a Pro model right now, and just be happy with what you got. They've got a ton of great games, and I think Nintendo's done well with it. And that's why, honestly, I think we're wasting our time telling Nintendo to give us a Pro model. Those are kind of my thoughts on the situation. Everyone is always saying we need a Switch Pro, and honestly, I love my Nintendo Switch and my Switch Lite, and I'm happy with it. So if Nintendo doesn't bring a Pro model, but we get some awesome games, I think that's really all that matters here. I want to know what you think about this topic. Let me know in the comments below. That's all I got for you. See ya.